Keir Starmer was unaware of a recent development that was intended to strengthen Labour's position. Could have just blown a hole right through it. In politics, timing is crucial, and a crisis could be approaching at this very moment. The star can't afford to be rudely awakened as things go awry and a political upheaval occurs that isn't coming from the usual culprits. Before we begin, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Starmer has just received a serious political setback that has the potential to rock the Labour Party. Labour's declining popularity is starkly depicted in a recent More in Common poll, which shows the party has fallen to third place behind the Conservatives and the resurgent Reform UK. Let's break this down. According to the survey, Labour's support has drastically decreased to just 21%, which is shocking given where they were just a short while ago. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage's populist Reform UK has risen to 25%, surpassing Labour and solidifying its position as a significant force in British politics. The Conservatives, now led by Keir Starmer, have taken first place with a slim lead of 26%. Starmer's Labour is supporting both the insurgent reform movement in the UK and the party they have been attempting to overthrow. The UK director of More in Common, Luke Trill, provided some context, acknowledging that this may be just one poll and possibly captured voters at a particularly bad moment for Labour. However, he stressed that the long-term trend is undeniable, saying that Labour has lost a third of the vote it secured just last July, and to make matters worse, the recent spring statement that was supposed to serve as a moment of reset or renewal for Labour seems to have backfired instead of restoring faith in the party. Instead, it has deepened the disillusionment. This is the real joker, as traditional wisdom has frequently suggested that a split right-wing vote between the Tories and Reform UK would ultimately benefit Labour. Trail cautions that if the United Conservative Reform vote often receives 50% of the vote, that may not be the case. The Conservatives under Keir Starmer would be predicted to win the most seats in a scenario like this, 223 in total, but that's still far short of the 326 seats required to form a majority government. To close that gap, the Tories would almost certainly need to form a coalition, most likely with Reform UK. This is where things get really interesting under this projection. Labour could be squeezed from both sides, and the right may end up making gains at Labour's expense despite competing with one another. In practical terms, this would mean that Nigel Farage or whoever leads Reform at the time could become a kingmaker, having significant influence over policy cabinet appointments and the course of any future right-wing government. Reform UK would win 170 seats, which would be a seismic shift from the 2024 general election when they returned just 5 MPs. What does all of this mean for Keir Starmer and Labour? The balance of power in British politics would fundamentally shift. Voters are clearly dissatisfied, the public isn't buying what Labour is selling, and the attempt to play it safe by straddling the middle ground and waiting for the Conservatives to collapse are now being tested, and it could be argued that those strategies are failing Labour. Labour isn't just losing votes, they're also losing relevance, and if Starmer can't find a way to energize, inspire, or even just hold the line, he runs the risk of losing the next election and ceding power to a right-wing Labour is no longer able to make any assumptions about loyalty, likelihood, or success in other news. Labour has announced plans to carry out a second evaluation of e-scooter trials across the UK, with results anticipated in May 2026. During a House of Lords session yesterday, Transport Minister Lord Hendy disclosed the decision, explaining that although an initial evaluation was conducted in 2021 and the results were published in 2022, the previous government chose not to take further action because travel patterns have continued to change. Hendy said, "The new assessment, which is scheduled to start this spring, intends to gather solid and current data on safety mode shift and usage to guide future legislation." Baroness Mintosh of Pickering brought attention to the extent of illegal e-scooter use in Britain, asking how many evaluations were really necessary. She told the Lords that there are currently 1.2 million e-scooters in general circulation that are being used illegally, and that 47 people have been killed since 2019. The Conservative peer expressed particular concern about riders mounting pavements at high speeds, terrorizing pedestrians. She urged the government to make sure that, if the current ban on illegally operated scooters is not enforced, they should introduce a regulatory framework with appropriate insurance to prevent depleting resources from the Motor Insurance Bureau. Lord Berkeley, a Labour peer, brought attention to this matter and questioned whether it was more crucial to have appropriate rules for the caliber and manner in which batteries are attached to bicycles and scooters. Hendy was aware of these risks. Referring to the Buy Safe Be Safe campaign by the Department for Business and Trades, which was introduced in October of last year, and attempts to increase public awareness of dangerous e-bikes, e-scooters, and batteries, the minister mentioned a recent event at Rayners Lane Station, stating that anyone standing even a short distance away from the scene would have been gravely hurt, if not killed, by the fire and following spontaneous explosion. Liberal Democrat peer Baroness Pidgeon questioned the nature of the ongoing trials that started to roll out across the UK on July 4, 2020, asking, "What is the minister's definition of a trial, or is this in reality the legalization of e-scooters by the back door?" Hendy adamantly denied this description, telling the House that it isn't the legalization by the back door. Conservative Lord Muin, however, criticised the extended timeline, implying that the government was letting it drag on until May 2026, with legislation possibly not arriving until 2027, possibly following another general election. The impact on vulnerable pedestrians was highlighted by several peers who are especially concerned about people with disabilities. Baroness Brinton brought attention to particular accessibility problems, pointing out that it is now nearly impossible to get to the bus stop at Old Kings Way, not only for passengers in wheelchairs or with guide dogs, but also for other people. She also reported seeing up to 100 poorly parked cars obstructing access at times, and she recommended that local authorities better regulate hire schemes to guarantee appropriate parking and collection. Please share your thoughts about the topics we covered in today's video in the comments box below. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more British stuff. Thank you, and goodbye.